Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special webinar. I'm particularly very happy because today's guest is Dr. Miguel Stanley. Really, thank you very much, Dr. Stanley. We are privileged and honored to have you. I am so looking forward to talk to you. Also, this webinar is going to be very interactive. We are going to, the format is very simple. I will be first introducing Dr. Stanley, which he does not require. However, I need to do it. And then I will start with the questions, and I would ask our live attendees to even put down their questions so that we can also ask Dr. Stanley. This is a fantastic opportunity. I must say you should take this privilege and opportunity to ask him questions. So a little bit about Dr. Stanley. If I would have to describe him in few words, it would be global dentist, health tech innovator, advocate for ethical dentistry. This is what I could think of. However, Dr. Stanley isn't a typical dentist. He's based in Lisbon. He's the powerhouse behind the White Clinic, one of Europe's cutting-edge dental clinics, where science, technology, and holistic care all come together. So it's a fantastic clinic, and he is the mastermind behind No Half Smiles philosophy, which is all about doing things right the first time with care and intention. So as co-founder of the Slow Dentistry Global Network, he champions also giving patients the time and attention that they deserve, because great dentistry, I'm sure we all agree that great dentistry should not be rushed. So Dr. Stanley also has taken stage over in 50 countries, sharing ideas, reshaping the way we think about oral health. He's also collaborating with the institution of UPenn and Harvard, and he's involved in an AI startup that dictates really hidden oral inflammation. Yes, tech and teeth go hand in hand. And I know when he's not in the clinic and not lecturing, he's exploring how dentistry connects with everything from longevity to systemic wellness. Is that enough? I don't think so. I can go on and on about Dr. Stanley. But
appreciate it. I really appreciate it, Mukhtar. Thank you so very much. I've been looking forward to this, and I thank everybody there at Geistlich for setting it up. And I'm very grateful that we get a chance just to talk, not to give a lecture, not to show slides, to just have an honest, open conversation. You're a practicing dentist for most of your life, and now running, science and at Geistlich, but you have clinical expertise. So I'm speaking colleague to colleague. We know how to do this, and for me, I think more than anything, people want to have open and honest conversations. So I look forward to this, and I'm really grateful to be here.
Exactly. So thank you very much. Also, I would say for coming, yes, but also for choosing the topic for today. It is how to communicate the values of complex dentistry in the world that cannot really afford it sometimes. So, I think it's such a crucial topic, and let me start with my questions already, Dr. Stanley. So what was that you thought of this topic? This communicating the value of complex dentistry. Why it is so important for you?
It's a very old problem that I've been trying to solve my entire life. And it started in 1998, 1999, when I first heard about biomaterials with my professor Mariano Sanz, who's been working with Geistlich for many years. He was at the time the senior doctor at the Complutense University in Madrid. He was my professor in implant dentistry in Madrid, where I trained. and very classically trained, Danny Boozer's guided bone regeneration techniques and BioOS, BioGuide, standard gold, gold standard protocol. And I learned how to do that last century. That's how old I am. And I remember coming back to my clinic and trying to explain this to my patients and wanting to do the right thing. And I mean, they having to explain what an implant was, and then having to explain what GBR was. And, it was so difficult to get that message across, and in a small amount of time. And, now 25 years later, obviously, it's become more ubiquitous and easier to communicate. We have softwares to show and photographs and all of that. But at the time, it was very difficult to do. And then we live in an ivory tower. Speakers, I'm here talking to you. I'm here, not the guy down the road who's struggling, whatever. And I think that, one of the privileges of being a teacher and an educator is that we also have to think democratically. And we cannot think just about the guys that can afford the luxury of doing the right thing, but how does the guy that has just graduated, guy or girl, just graduated, starting their career, wanting to do the right thing, having their ethics in the right place, really believing, I want to do this, but their patients just don't care about value, they only care about cost. Yeah. Insurance companies don't care about value, they only care about cost. We're going to have a conversation here, Mukta. We're going to have a real honest conversation, and I hope that this helps a lot of people. I'm sorry if it upsets some people, but the one thing that a doctor has to be is honest, and you agree with that. Now, this is my truth. It's my truth. I don't speak for anybody, but I just feel that there's so many things that we have to buy to be able just to do 2025 dentistry. You go to the trade shows, you go to the IDS, you go to these expo shows, and you see these people. Wow, that makes sense. I get it. I understand. An intraoral scanner, CBCT, good implants, guided, BioMaterials materials. I want to have this anesthetic. I want to have that 3D printer, and everything stacks up, and it becomes incredibly expensive. No one's helping us. True. Patients don't seem to care about any of that. And all of a sudden, it's like, well, hang on, I've got bills to pay. I got everybody saying they're doing the same thing, but I'm actually really buying the good stuff, and my patients don't seem to care about it. Most of my colleagues don't seem to care about it. And then you've got one drawer for the VIP patients, and then another drawer with the bad stuff for the ones that. And that breaks your heart, because you want to be good. You want to be honest. You don't want to cross that line. And I'll be honest with you, people don't believe this, but I've never crossed that line, Mukta. I've never, ever crossed that line. And I've had highs and lows in my career. When I started out, Portugal was the second or third poorest country in Europe. It still is a very poor country. It's not, you've got wealth everywhere. In any country, 1% has wealth, right? So I wanted to, coming on this, I wanted to help just ask questions and also let people know that other people are thinking about this, that it's a huge challenge to communicate expensive dentistry, not just that, expensive, lengthy, time-consuming dentistry. If you're taking out a molar that has a huge defect, to get that tooth back sometimes can take 18 months. 18 months. Extraction, let it heal. Go back in, sinus lift, graft, let it heal. Maybe some failure, maybe graft again. Then place the implant, then wait another 4 or 5 months, then do the soft tissue modulation, then place the crown. And sometimes just as you're talking the crown in, the implant rotates on itself because it didn't integrate, because it wasn't. And you're like, this is the worst thing that can happen, and you did everything right and you still fail. And who's there to hold your hand? Geistlich, the big companies? No one. And you're getting pounded by the economy, pounded by your patients, pounded by the competition, and it breaks your heart. And you've been there because you're a clinician. And So I just thought that we should have an honest conversation about this, you know, because I went to the IDS in Cologne, and I'm a big fan of honest companies that actually deliver products that are what they say it is. And very few companies in the world today are privately owned, where the owner family still works there every day. And I've been to the headquarters of Geistlich, and you guys are the most scientifically sound company in, you know, I'm not going to say that, but biomaterials for sure, the most studied biomaterial on earth. And that creates trust. At the end of the day, it creates trust. But how is that trust translated to the patient?
Patients, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How is that? Patients have never heard of Geistlich. Let's be honest, most dentists haven't heard of Geistlich, right? But they should, because it's very discreet, done, science, you know, Swiss, conservative. But you go to the IDS, and I was talking to a bunch of CEOs, and I was just saying, you know, we need more help at establishing trust at point of care, because we have to sell these really expensive, cumbersome, challenging, complex treatments that are more likely than not going to give complications, and we need help. So we need help to execute them. We need help to sell them. We need help from the companies. Like the fashion industry, at least the fashion industry markets their products to the consumer, and the consumer understands product A, product B. The car industry, the watch industry, the phone industry, the computer industry, the water industry, the beverage industry, dentistry, nothing. Nothing. And so here we are spending all of our money to buy the good stuff, and then going to our patients to say, we have this amazing product. It's the best in the world. Yeah, I don't care about that. I just want just to do the cheapest possible for me. And it's really tough. And so I wanted to talk about that today with you.
But then with this, I have a question. Do you mean to say that the patient should be educated about the products? The patient education is the most important part. It just sounded like that. And how do you do that? How do you really educate patients to get that trust? You know what I mean?
That's the best question and the most important question, and one that every CEO that I speak to in private agrees should happen, but doesn't want to do it. There's this mindset within most CEOs around the world and companies manufacturing dental devices, products, and technologies that straight to consumer will be frowned upon by the industry. Very few companies have done it, all right? And, you know, very few. I'll give you an example. Invisalign 20 years ago when they invented, or 30 years ago when they invented aligners, the actual company name, people can use other systems and they'll still call it that brand. Why? Because they spoke to the consumer. Okay. So many years ago, some companies like implants companies started marketing straight to, and it was frowned upon because medicine, dentistry is very conservative, was very conservative. That has changed. The demographic in dentistry has changed completely. You know, I mean, you've now got young millennials, you've got Gen X, you know, I'm a Gen X, I'm 52, almost 53, you know. What about a 35-year-old dentist? They're all about social media marketing, right? And why are companies that are making these amazing products fearful of engaging with the end consumer, that is the patient? There's, let's say 2 million, for argument's sake, 2 million dentists in the world, all right? There's 9 billion people.
Yeah.
Those are the end receivers of your implants, of the bone grafts, of the ceramics, of the veneers, of the composites, of the bleaching machines, of the aligners, of those are the end receivers. And I've been advocating for this for over a decade, Muktu. Okay. And I believe very, very simply that dentists will choose companies that help them sell more, period. Because the consumer will see that advertisement and will say, hey, I want to go to a dentist that has that. And I'll give you an example. 20 years ago, I did TV shows in Portugal. all right? Very frowned upon by my peers, very frowned upon, because of course I go on television and I show guided bone regeneration. I have videos, Mukta, 20 years ago of me showing implants with guided bone regeneration on national television.
Wow, okay.
I have videos of that, all right? So 9 million people saw my show. Guess what happened to the implant industry and the GBR industry in the years after my show? It made it easier to sell. That you can ask other Portuguese dentists. They got very jealous of me and all of that, which is understandable, right? Because people, you know, that's it. But we help them sell. It's like, oh, you see that doctor on television doing that? That's exactly, oh, okay, fine. So we actually help the industry. We help the industry. I help the industry, you know, with that. So I don't understand this reluctance of translating the incredible science behind many of the products that, you know, you guys at Geistlich make, or the implant companies, the expensive stuff, implants, biomaterials, aligners, scanners, you know, 3D printers, whatever, the ceramics, and marketing direct to the consumer, because the consumer will choose clinics that have those products. So you're inevitably feeding into the ecosystem. Think about this. You've got your patients, clinics, doctors, and manufacturers. Manufacturers market to clinics and doctors only.
Mm-hmm.
The patient is left out of the equation. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry of manufacturer to clinics and dentists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows about it. Nobody's ever heard about this. Nobody cares, right? So the dentists, what's the downside of this? 80% of the industry is going to buy crap. Why? Because they know that the consumer knows nothing about the differential between the best bone material in the world, a Geistlich biomaterial, and some cheap stuff manufactured you don't even know where. Maybe what's in it isn't what's in it. I don't know. I'm just saying that how do you protect the consumer? So this is a mold that has to be broken. It has to be disrupted. It's inevitable. And the first companies to do that win, because this multi-billion-dollar industry of manufacturers, with all of the science, all of the marketing, the trade shows, all of that, the science, the key opinion leaders, the educators, the books, the weekend courses, the long courses, the universities, it's completely packed into a small ecosystem of what? 100,000, 200,000 dentists globally that actually care enough to go and do education. The IDS in Cologne, greatest trade show in the world, 200,000 visitors. Out of 2 million, that's 10%. So 10% of global clinicians actually care enough to go and learn what's going on. Not 90%. All right, so my question is, why are we not helping dentists that go out of pocket to buy the good stuff to sell and communicate their treatments better? I think it will be beneficial to everybody, you know, and dentistry is no longer dictated by the professors at schools, at universities. It's dictated by clinicians that have thousands of Instagram followers. I'm just saying, that's just a reality. And we need to adapt to the new way that things are done.
Yes.
Because what's going to happen is you're going to get dentists with influencers with a lot of that have no science supporting them. So I think that the companies need to get in there and support the good guys and educate, so that the consumer at the end of the day knows the difference between a good product and a bad product. So when they go to a dentist, they're saying, no, this is amazing. The patient goes on ChatGPT, even on ChatGPT. No, it's not.
Yeah, true. Now it's really so easy to find out what's good, what's bad, in fact. However, I would like to take one question from the audience, that it says that the dental industry failed trying to market their products to the patient directly, which is Noble Biocare as an example, is the question. So that's what the person wanted to say. Yes.
To the best of my knowledge, that was done in 2005, 20 years ago.
Okay.
That was before social media, before everything. And it didn't go well. And everybody's, oh my God, it didn't go. That was 20 years ago. Get out of it already. Move forward. I predict, and this will have a timestamp on it, the first biomaterial companies, the first tech companies that start marketing straight to the consumer will win big in the next decade, period, because they will help establish trust. I wrote an article on this on the Dental Tribune, or I don't, yeah, I think so. And it's that we need to establish trust. What's the currency of trust?
Yep.
How do consumers know if product A is better than product B? Not dentists. Let's be realistic here. Most dentists are going to buy the product that will give them the result. And even if you think even more than that, at the end of the day, 90% of dentists don't buy their products. It's the company that owns the network, you know, DSOs in America, these network clinics in Europe. It's an investor, it's a group of people that buy the product. So they'll say, okay, we've got to buy 20,000 implants a year for our network. You think they're going to buy the most expensive, best back? No, of course not. They're going to buy a good one, hopefully. That's, you know, negotiate a bulk price. This is business, right? So most dentists actually that practice in these groups don't have a say in the biomaterial that they have to do. And I'm sure you've heard about these stories, Mukta, that, you know, the company says you have to use this biomaterial, and they actually go out of pocket and buy better products to use for their patients. You know that this is happening. So I just think, look, I don't need to be nice or whatever. I see what I'm seeing and I'm hearing what I'm hearing, right? And I think that, again, there's a lot of evidence in science that shows that some products are better than others. And it doesn't mean that cheaper ones are bad. It just means that you can't charge high for a product that's cheap. And the consumer, especially with AI now, I mean, let's face it, ChatGPT, I'll take a photograph of a product. What's the selling price of this product? How soon do you think it is before 35 millennial patients, you know, between 30 and 40, are going to start, oh yeah, doctor, let me just take a photograph of that and ask ChatGPT. You actually think that's not going to happen? So I don't see why companies are not getting ahead of that, right? And getting in front of this. And I just think that the days of this closeted, quiet, discreet interaction between the industry and dentists and dental clinics has to be, we have to put spotlights on this, and we have to flood the market with the science, with the evidence, with, you know, and communicate with the global community. Because, you know, if you want to connect dentistry to healthcare, we also need better marketing as a industry as total. It's so insular, you know. We need to get that information out there.
Absolutely.
I think all the good companies need to get together and start getting over this don't speak to patient, you know, because every dentist sooner or later becomes a patient, right? You're a patient, I'm a patient.
Absolutely.
So patients can't grasp complex ideas. It's a bit rude, you know. I think patients are smart.
Absolutely, but there is also one point that I used to face that, you know, the patients always have some kind of priority. They have just bought a, you know, house, or they want to go for some expensive holiday, or something is coming up and they do have some other commitment, financial commitment, and they still have a problem, a dental problem. And then what they tend to do is they postpone the treatment, as simple as that. How do you really tackle such kind of problems? That, you know, how do you convince your patients to really say, no, you know what, this is what it is, right? Even if you have something coming up.
That's a great question.
This is the right thing for me. Yeah.
I don't convince them, I educate them. And if you have to convince a patient, no. So the first appointment is critical here. You see, a dentist, an oral physician, on your first appointment, you are the architect of that conversation. And more than being a salesperson, you need to be a teacher. So instead of convincing them to do a therapy, you have to educate them on what that problem is going to cause to their oral issue, to their systemic issue. The evidence of oral systemic connection is growing every single day. You know, an infection in the mouth doesn't stay in the mouth, it goes into the body. We now have mounting evidence of its connection to Alzheimer's, to cardiopathies, to diabetes, to cancer, more and more, right? What makes it more difficult for us is that somebody pulled a magic trick and convinced humanity that if there's no pain, there's no problem. And so obviously, you know, if you have a pain in your thumb, you get it treated quick because it's painful. But toxic, old, outdated, infected teeth cause no pain. And so you can chew on it. You're like, ah, yeah. So there's two types of patients. The ones that don't care, and you can educate them and they still don't care. I refuse treatment. So
Okay.
I think patient-doctor relationship is like a love affair. Both people have to come to the relationship wanting it, caring it. The patients also have to be good patients. They want to be curious. They want to be improvement, right? So, you know, maybe patients that only go when they're acute abscesses, or, you know, they also need help. I get it, but you also get to choose the kind of doctor you want to be, you know. So with that said, I would argue to patients that don't want to do it, that are always, just educate them and give them an example like a house. So if you have a blocked sink or a blocked toilet, all right, and it's leaking, now it's just a little leak, it's not a problem, you can go in the morning and you can mop it up. But if you don't actually dismount the issue, what you might not know is that the leakage is now making a hole through the floor, and it's going to go and start ruining the ceiling of the apartment under your house. And then one day, because you've decided to ignore it, because it's not a big problem, you thought, because you didn't get that early diagnostic, because you didn't want to pay money to the builder to come and check it, you get a phone call one day that the ceiling has collapsed of your neighbor's house. Now you have to fix his roof, act as your insurance, move out of your house for a month, go and live in a hotel. All of this disruption because you decided to delay something that was simple. Problems in the mouth never get better and never take a day off. They only get worse, and they cause no pain. So how do you do this in a first appointment that is 10 minutes long without a CT scan or without proper aid and assistance? So the length of that first appointment has to be long. It has to be you know. So I think if you want to, I don't like the word convince, but if you want to educate your patients, you have to teach them and you have to educate them. And that's why it brings us back to the first thing. If companies could help us with this, it would be amazing. You know, just, hey, watch this video and I could go do something else, but they don't exist. Those videos don't exist. And you don't sell your patients, you educate them, you talk to them about, look, if you don't want to do it now, fine. But if you do it next year, it's going to be more expensive. You know, fine. You just won't be able to put an implant in. The bone will be gone. And you're not lying. That's absolute, you know, evidence-based facts. Everybody knows that problems get worse over time. So no convincing, educating.
Fantastic. I really like the way you put it up. Really nice. And it actually, while we were talking, there is one question which came up exactly about that how to communicate with the patient about the material that we use. I think you answered it already, that, you know, if there are videos to educate our patients, you know, what we are going to use, it would be helpful. There's another question with the same thing, same person, is how did the doctor communicate with the patient when he didn't have the case to back up, or he doesn't have a case to show that, you know, I have done this before and after? I think that's what the audience wants to say.
Honestly, that's a great question. So not all doctors have the time to take photographs and to document their cases, myself included. So many times I'll go on the internet, I will Google, I'll say, you know, and I'll go on internet and I'll find, I said, that's exactly your problem. I know how to do this. And quite frankly, if your patient doesn't trust you, they're at the wrong clinic. It's that simple. We sell trust, period. That's what we sell. We don't sell dentistry, we sell trust. And if a patient doesn't believe you, run away. Do not convince them to believe you. All right. And you have to always understand that if that patient came to you and is sitting in your chair and you have that privileged moment of actually having agency over what you say and what you think, you can actually change that person's life. So it's a really, I mean, I've been saying this for 20 years now. I've been lecturing on this. The first appointment is critical. The average time for a first appointment in my clinic for 25 years is an hour and a half. Okay, people don't believe that, but it's a long time. And I also do something else, is I personally take the patients around the clinic and I show them, I say, this is my CT scan, this is my X-ray machine. I show them my machines and my technology, and they go, why are you showing me your machines and your technology? I'm like, well, you're going to understand how much money I spent on giving you the best dentistry in the world. It's called creating a stakeholder. A stakeholder is somebody in the ecosystem that understands the value of the ecosystem, and so that they understand the cost of things. You know, and I tell patients how much things cost me. This scanner cost me 25,000 euros, not the 6,000 euro one. This bone BioOS cost, you know, whatever. This implant cost this much, and they can double check that with ChatGPT, right? And so you make them your partner, not your client. A client criticizes cost. A partner helps establish further solutions. So how do you turn this person in front of you into your student, your fan, your partner that wants to build something with you? Storytelling. And if you don't have the cases, go find them online.
Fantastic. So there's someone who's written that I'm a dentist by background, and I'm finding this discussion very insightful. Also, this person would like to get the thought on the concept that I've been exploring, an ambient AI scribe that generates structured GDPR compliant clinical notes from real-time conversation. Something of that sort, and then while also providing the contextual prompts to clinicians, doing actually, sorry, let me just read it out to you properly. While also providing contextual prompts to clinicians during history taking. One additional layer is generating parallel summaries in lay language tailored for patients' understanding. In your view, could a system like this improve the clinical efficiency and patient update, particularly in setting where patients may struggle to grasp the clinical details?
All right.
Do you want me to read it out? Did you understand?
Good. It's about using AI.
AI, basically. To take the history of the patient and, gives really that kind of diagnosis.
I think that is an inevitability. It's an inevitability. So right now, you do not know if your patient's phone is on and recording your conversation. You just don't know. So you could have your patient in, and they put their recorder on, and they're recording the entire conversation. They then go to ChatGPT or to some software, they upload it, and they personally say, did this doctor say things that are true? How do you know that they're not doing that? It's not about you anymore. It's not about what we think anymore. The game has changed. It's not going to change. The game changed in January, all right, this year. It's changed. Moreover, you've got patients that have got glasses with cameras in them. Now, sometimes the light is on, okay, and you're like, you know that they're filming, but next year there's going to be glasses and you don't know if they're filming or not. You know, there's the whole game has changed. So I think obviously AI technology is completely disruptive. But look, for those of you that have been lying to your patients for all these years, improve your game. For those of you that have been truthful in your endeavors, excellent. It's going to be amazing for you. So what AI and these softwares are going to do are going to create a safety net, because trust is about transparency. And if you are a digital dentist using digital technologies, then by default, all of that data belongs to the patient under GDPR regulations within Europe and North America, obviously. But all of those files can very quickly be analyzed by a super AI that very quickly understands if things were correctly done, not just at point of care, but in the lab, on the lab. Dentists saying, oh, we're going to use a very good ceramic from Switzerland, but it secretly was done in another country out of the EU. You know, everything's going to be controlled, which will create two ecosystems, one that can be digitally controlled and supervised, and one that it cannot. So analog dentistry without any digital technologies. I mean, in the future, you can say, I have a Faraday cage in my office, no technology inside, and I'm going to do everything analog. You can still do great dentistry, but then you really have to be a trustworthy person, right? But I think that very quickly AI is going to not allow anybody to say things that is incredible. The truth is coming. Truth is coming, period, whether you like it or not. So it's a very, very important time to get your education up to date, to make sure you've got the right materials and products, and that at least what you're saying to your patients and to your teams and to the insurance companies actually is happening, because it's not just about, you know, Pearl AI or these good softwares that are checking x-rays. It's going to take an x-ray of your clinic, of everything that's said in the clinic. I mean, that's just not going to happen. That's 100% going. It's already happening. So I'm actually I've recorded my conversations. I have 2 softwares, and what I tell my patients is, look, do you mind if I record this conversation? I have permission from them, and I said I'll send the files to you afterwards. You can do whatever you want with that. So it's been very good.
Fantastic. So you record the conversation, and how do you use that as?
So there's a bunch of softwares. I'm not going to make any marketing, but you can just on your iPhone record a conversation, and depending on what kind of you have, there's a few platforms where you can drop 2-hour conversations, and it will know there's different speakers, and it will do the clinical note taking. It will do a resume of that. And it can actually do a treatment plan based on that. You can share that with the patient, and the patient can then grab this and say, oh, the doctor said he's going to use product A, B, or C. Please go and find out what's the price of that product, what's its rating, what is its competition, implant A, B, or C, why is he using that, is it good for me? Does anybody listening to this think that people are stupid, that they're not going to do this, that you're going to put this stuff, that the reign of ignorance is going to last forever? Wake up, guys. Wake up. There's supercomputers that are smarter than all of us combined already working. Grok 4 is out. It's happened. Absolutely. It's a very important time in our industry to be truthful, period. We can't lie anymore. And that's why I'm saying companies should get ahead of this and get out there and, you know, start speaking to the public. I've been saying this for 20 years. On record. I was the first dentist to, you know, to do implant dentistry and guided bone regeneration on a TV show in the world. I did that 20 years ago, Mukta. I got pounded by a lot of colleagues because, oh, this guy's on TV, but actually it really did help, you know? So getting that message out there properly, I think I did a good job. We did things ethically, and, you know, but I really think it's a very interesting time to be a dentist. Also scary. It's very scary. But
we're just coming down to that, because, you know, when you have so much of clinical data or patients' data into AI, do you think there is any kind of ethical issues with that? What do you think about that? You know,
I don't think we have a say in it anymore. That's none of our business. How are you going to stop it? How are you going to stop it? How are you legitimately going? So a patient comes in and says, doctor, if you don't mind, I'm going to record this conversation because I'm going to forget. No. All right, I'll just go somewhere else where they say yes. Like, trust is transparency. Trust is transparency. It's great for companies like Geistlich because you literally have the best product on the market. Right? But for the guys that are saying, oh, this is like Geistlich, but half the price, why is it half the price? What corners did you cut to make it half the price? I don't know. Maybe it is the same. I don't know. I don't do that kind of stuff. But I'll give you an example. Let's talk about this. Let's say we have to take out an upper molar, first molar, right? It's got a massive infection, apical infection close to the sinus, okay? Now, patient, very complicated patient says, I want to have my tooth back. So we know very quickly, extraction, removal of the cyst, maybe we can graft, but as you extract the tooth, there's a perforation of, because the palatal root is in the sinus. You can't graft. Can't graft. So maybe you put some PRF in, maybe you don't, right? Put a membrane over or not. But if you're going to follow Danny Boozer, then what you do is you just close it, you wait 7 weeks, then you go back in. Membranes reform. You do a sinus lift, you raise the sinus, you do your grafting, you place your implant, you suture it, you wait another 5 months or whatever. Then you have to do soft tissue modulation, maybe a bit of FibroGuide, get some nice connective thick tissue there. I love FibroGuide, by the way. And then, you put your abutment, soft tissue modulation, you do a try-in, you do a temporary, you do your final zirconia crown. That's the gold standard. Now, that's going to cost the patient, let's say for argument's sake, 5,000 pounds or euros or 10,000 euros, whatever. Let's say for argument's sake, 10,000 euros. Patient's like, for one tooth? But everything I just said is what we know in the evidence for 25 years. How the hell? Now, people that know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
we haven't contemplated bone graft failure, sinus fenestration, complication, implant not taking, gum recession, having to do connective tissue graft. We haven't even contemplated those mistakes. And sometimes after 4 months, you load the implant and the implant fails. Who's helping you when those things go wrong and you did everything right? Damn hard. Now, I'm going to do the gold standard protocol. I'm going to work with the best implants. I'm going to work with the best bone grafting material. I like to work with implants that are clean implant certified. Currently, I'm working with a Contact S Plus implant from Biotech. It's clean implant certified, grade 4 titanium. It's very good for these immediate loading cases. I'm also working with some ceramic implants, a very, very interesting time for implant dentistry. But where am I getting at? So you have to use a good implant there. Now, you do everything right and it fails. But now you've got another clinician who doesn't, took a weekend course in GBR, right? And he's saying, I can do that because the doctor says 10,000 euros is very expensive. I'm going to go to the guy down the road whose website is literally the same as yours. Because who's controlling what we put on the website? I can, interdisciplinary team, professors, the best state-of-the-art technology, all of the things that I can want to say about myself, I can put on the website. There's no double checking. There's no certification of let's stop the BS. You understand what I'm saying? So now that guy says, oh, Dr. Stanley, that guy's crazy. I'll do it for 2,000. Patient, I knew he was full of crap. All right. This is before AI. And the guy, whatever, complications happen or not, maybe he's a genius, I don't know. Who's there? At what corners were cut to make that from 10,000 to 2,000? What was it? Was it the quality of the implant, the quality of the biomaterial, no tissue graft? What steps and who dictates what corners you cut to make things cheaper and faster? Where's the science behind that? Because I go to all these lectures and we hear gold standard, gold standard, gold standard. Gold standard is damn expensive and time costly and difficult to do. And you do it by yourself and you have to be a superhero, do magic things with nobody knowing you're doing it. And that's what I call superhero dentistry. Because superheroes save lives and nobody knows that they saved lives. And that's what a dentist is, because people, not even sometimes your assistant goes, oh, that was cool. But nobody knows what you do. Nobody there to pat you on your back, and the only vector of excellence is likes on Instagram and money in the bank and show off signs like a Rolex or a Porsche. It's a damn difficult job.
Yes.
And so the bad dentists, the cheap guys, the guys that cut corners are doing somehow, they say it's the same thing, but it's not. And this is the greatest challenge. So AI is very quickly ending that discussion. Now, perhaps the person that only has 2,000 and the dentist that does it for 2,000 is a credible ecosystem, much like motels, 2-star motels. But if you have a 2-star motel and you have the Four Seasons, if I see a cockroach at the Four Seasons, I'm kind of going to get upset. But if I see a cockroach in a 2-star motel, I'm not, right? Because it's all I can afford. And remember, dentistry should be democratic. You can't, right? But a lot of people are doing very cheap dentistry at the cost of what? What corners are you cutting? Why is Geistlich why is there not only Geistlich? Why are there so many other brands out there? Some are good, some are not. And how do patients know the difference? So I think AI is going to read everything, all of the science, and it's going to listen to our conversations. And I wrote an article on this. It's in Dental Tribune. It's my article on artificial intelligence. And what's going to happen is you're going to have a war of AIs. The doctor's AI helping pitch to the patient, and the patient's AI protect them against the lies or the inaccuracies of the doctor's treatment plan. And it will go into the science, and it will understand the market pricing, and the concept of a Google rating will go out the window. And I think it's a good thing because we need trust in dentistry. We need it. We don't know who to trust anymore.
That's
Sorry,
absolutely
it's a bit tough conversation, but that's what we're here to do.
super. There's a question that I would like to take. Also, it's very pertaining to what we were talking just now. So do you think I should invest into big picture when I'm alone in this consideration at my location? How could I convince the partners?
I should invest in what?
Invest into big picture. So I think maybe a big investment or something like that. How could I convince the partners or dealers or so on to help me go on a slower, safer way for the future of my clinic? From Slow Dentistry member with financial doubts. Thank you. This is the question.
I'm very grateful for that question. All right. Okay. It's a moral dilemma. Okay. And last year, I lectured for the FDI in Istanbul,
yes.
And
yes, I know.
They asked me to talk on leadership, what makes a leader, to the young students. And in September, I'll be lecturing for the FDI in Shanghai. I've never been to Shanghai. I'm very excited. They're going to expect 30,000 people. It'll be the biggest FDI ever. And I'm going to be talking on ethics and the moral dilemma of doing the right thing. Now, so I thought about this. We as free citizens in the world, living in democratic societies, we can choose to be a criminal or not. We can choose that. It's a choice. So yeah. I don't have money to pay my bills. I'm going to go rob a bank. Some people think like that. Other people like, I'm going to have 5 jobs. I will wake up in the morning, I'll clean houses, I'll work at McDonald's, I'll serve tables, I'll cut grass, I'll do whatever it takes to put food on the table of my family. There's people like that, right? So there's a bit of everything. In dentistry, that exists as well. Let's be realistic here, okay? So we all learn at university that the dental dam, the rubber dam, which was invented in 1870 something by Sanford Barnum, protects dentine against saliva when you're doing deep restorative dentistry or a root canal, correct? We know that. The problem is it takes about 5 to 8 minutes to set up.
Yes.
In a clinic that is doing fast turnaround times to keep costs down, that are seeing 25, 30 patients a day, I heard somebody say, I'm not going to say the country, 100 patients a day, right? There's no way in hell that you can put up a dental dam. Now, come out of university with all of these ideals. I'm gonna be the best dentist in the world, and I'm gonna hold this beacon of truth, and I'm gonna follow the science, and I'm gonna be a good person. And then your boss says you have to do 30 treatments a day. By the way, no dental dams. You don't have time for that. Don't worry. Everybody's doing it. Gloves, don't even use the gloves. And skip this, skip that. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Some people will take the money and do it, but it's a moral choice. It's a moral choice. Nobody puts a gun to your head and says you have to do it. You have 3 options. Set up a revolution with your partners, convince them, explain to them, educate them, because otherwise it's a race to the bottom, cheaper and cheaper
Yeah.
and cheaper for dentistry. And, you know, I don't know any successful clinician on earth that has a cheap, low-cost practice. They are all really, and I didn't start out that way. You know, I started in Portugal and I said no to a lot of bad things. I'm not going to do this. Why? Because there's no evidence on it. And people think that is not BS. That's an honest to God. I had difficulties, man. It was not easy. But there's a moral code here, and there's ethics, and there's evidence, and you do the right thing. And sooner or later, and for Gen Zs and millennials, it's difficult to comprehend time, but success takes time. Coco Chanel said it took her 20 years to be an overnight success. It takes time. I've been doing this for 25 years, every single day, like a fanatic. So the second one is quit your partners and go open a clinic. And instead of wanting to do everything, how about just do one thing really well? Be the best guy at restorative dentistry, or do, you know, whatever it is you do, but just do one thing very, very, very well. Be that guy, that girl. That's one thing. Because a lot of clinics, they want to be like that Swiss Army knife that can do everything. And it's a Swiss company. It's difficult to run, very expensive to manage. You know, you want to be ready to do everything that dentistry has to offer. That's insane. That's like 2,000 different things. It's like you have to have a license to ride a bicycle, pilot a jet, hot air balloon, jet ski, motorbike, you know, supercar, normal car. That's what a modern dentist, a super GP, has to be able to do. Choose one good thing, but do it really, really well. And the third one is quit. If where you live, if where you practice, you can't do the right thing, quit. Go somewhere else. You did it, Rabi, Mukta. You know, you left and you came and you telling me how you did this amazing dentistry. You know, what a privilege. How hard that must have been for you. Wasn't that hard?
Very hard.
How difficult was it for you to change from your home company to Switzerland, get your license, do all of that to do the right thing?
Absolutely.
Come on, you know, that's an inspiration. People should be inspired by you, and so many fellow dentists that actually say, no, I'm going to do the right thing. But again, it comes back to the very first question. The industry is not helping the good guy. The industry is not helping the good guys. I think any dentist that goes out of pocket to buy Geistlich, to buy the top brands, to buy the best products should be rewarded publicly for that. These are our global clients. And that's what I try to do with the slow dentistry. It's like, hey, this network of clinicians doesn't see a huge amount of patients, you know, takes the right time to do the right thing. So to the person that wrote that question, look, you know, when people say that dentistry is a stressful profession, suicide rate, stress, anxiety, it only is if you're brokenhearted. If your heart is broken, and your heart gets broken when you're not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And when there's a lack of congruence between doing the right thing and making money, and that breaks your heart, because you know at the end of the day you're being a bit of a bandit. You're breaking, okay, I'm not going to use a rubber dam here, and maybe once, okay, but then it starts stacking up and you feel guilty. I mean, and who you have to, because you learned to do the right way, but then you're not doing it the right day for profit. And so it breaks your heart. And I think, you know, dentistry is stressful when you don't have a loving, caring, kind patient that is respectful and understands the value of what you do, that is willing to pay for it, having the right amount of time to execute the therapy under normal circumstances. You have your right armamentarium and the right team to support you. I'm lucky enough, but it took me 25 years to build that ecosystem with great sacrifice, and I'm still making mistakes. Still not perfect. There's still days I pull my hair out. Look at all my gray hairs here. You know, it's a very difficult job. I'm not perfect. Not perfect, man. It's tough. Many days I want to quit, you know, and I treat assholes difficult. It's a difficult job, but you've got to keep on persevering to do the right thing.
Absolutely. We are coming to very close to our end of our webinar, but there are many questions, Dr. Stanley. I don't know how many you could take.
Go on. I'll keep short answers. I promise. Okay. Let's go.
Keep short. Okay, keep it short. One question was shorter. Where do I learn GPR from?
Oh,
this was the question.
Oh my God. depending where you are in the world, again, go. Geistlich is the leading company in the world for guided bone regeneration. Professor Danny Boozer is probably one of the best guys in the world to teach about that. You've got amazing educators all on the platform at Geistlich. Learn from them all. They're all brilliant, brilliant. Follow the Osteology Foundation, and just, there's a lot of free stuff and you can learn from that. Next.
Thank you. So how do you, next question, how do you explain this to the patient when even good companies are cutting DSO huge discounts while the single doctor office is paying high prices for the same product? Companies slowly shifting, or maybe already shifted, to the alliance with DSOs. Even the best of the products, many dentists are doing fast and shitty dentistry. I'd like you refuse to compromise, struggling to keep my practice afloat. Very pertinent question, actually.
Yeah, so I think if I understood, the question is, how do you compete with DSOs at the end of the day, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You know, I just started following this girl in this colleague of ours in America. She's got an amazing feed on Instagram. To see if I can find her here. She's just amazing, and she's literally going on and talking about DSOs. I see if I can find her Instagram handle here, and she's saying stuff that's just like unbelievable. And the truth of the matter is, it's like, look, these big companies are Bridget White. That's her, Bridget White, and
okay.
Bridget White. Anyway, I have no relationship with her. I just started following her, and she talks about these problems. You see, these big companies get massive discounts because they buy in bulk, right?
Yes.
But you can't ignore the value of DSOs. They make it accessible to a lot of, you know, middle income families around the world that get really good quality dentistry as well. So I don't think it's fair to bash DSOs. There's a bunch of them doing great things. You know, I know Pacific Dental in the US is doing a great job at, you know, doing the mouth body connection and creating awareness under the leadership of Stephen Thorne. You know, so you've got a lot of these companies doing good things. But it's difficult, and I guess, you know, it's a David and Goliath equation. It's, you know, goes back to biblical times of the little guy fighting the giant. There's a metaphor there, and if you know, throw the rock in the right place, you can win. So it's a question of thinking strategically, and you can't treat everybody in your community. You can only treat one patient at a time, right? So I think we have to stop worrying about ecosystem and just worry about today, get past today, do good work today, just do good work today. Don't worry about do good work today. Dentistry is still very artisan, hands-on, and heart and ethics and creating value and going slow really goes a long way. Patients understand that. It's not for everybody, but also finding the right patient, you know. So some people want to fly, you know, some people want different things, you know. Some people choose that hotel over that hotel because of little things. So more than anything, find what you like to do and what's valuable for you, and there's people that will identify with that. Can't please everybody.
Super. Thank you so very much for all your patience, all your answers, which are so relevant and which are so pertinent to whatever we are facing at the moment in the market. You know, talking about AI, talking about, you know, the problems of patients, problems of dentists, our fellow colleagues. It's so important to really talk about this, and we were so privileged and happy to have you, Dr. Stanley. Thank you very much for all your time. Your dedication for dentistry really means a lot to us, and I'm sure to all our participants also. So thank you very much for being so passionate about dentistry and the ethics.
Sure. And you've been so gracious and kind, and I appreciate you taking the time for me as well. I know how much work it is to put these things together, and if you would please have me on again, I would love to continue our conversations and help our brothers and sisters out there that are just trying to do the right thing.
I would be really happy to have you back and continue this conversation again. thank you very much. Have a great evening, afternoon, or day, wherever you are watching us. Thank you so very much, and bye then.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.